Hi everybody, welcome back to the video series of Lose Fat, Get Fit with Ketones. Now, we've been really kind of focused and having a great time with do reboot, let's reboot, let's reboot. We've been having tons of fun with that. We've gone through a couple of reboots already and great results and feeling great. So let's get back on track and talk about some of the serious benefits of being in ketosis. Now, in the past, we've talked about energy in another video. This video is going to go one step further and talk about insulin and diabetics. So this video is focusing on ketones and diabetes. Okay? Quick review. Why is that important? Why is diabetes important or a topic to be tied or linked with ketones and ketosis? Well, the process, which we barely touched on last time, is that when you're running on glucose, you need insulin to use that glucose as energy. When you're on ketones as your main fuel, you don't need insulin. Ketones do not need insulin to be used by the body. So that's the huge difference. We'll go into it a little bit more detail a little bit later. Being in ketosis has its advantages. We know that when we're in ketosis, it's when our body is burning fat, using fat. Our liver then gets that message and starts producing ketones, which is then what we use as fuel. And our body loves it. Downsides are it's real difficult to get into ketosis and it's easily to get out. It's very easy to get out of ketosis. I saw an ad for some product or something on Google the other day on the internet, and there was testimonies from people saying, oh, I was in ketosis within 7 days or 5 days or 14 days, and it was great. I didn't have to wait longer. Well, with the current technology, the new leading edge science, you can be in ketosis in 30 to 60 minutes with all the benefits of being in ketosis, okay? And we've covered, each of the videos have been covering the different benefits of being in ketosis and using ketones as our fuel source. So today we are going to be focusing on ketones and diabetes. Now we're going to be, there's kind of three types of diabetes. Type 1 is where the person's pancreas cannot produce insulin. Type 2 is where the pancreas does produce insulin. However, for whatever reason, and there's a lot of reasons, the cells of the body become something called insulin resistant, and they can't use that glucose as efficiently because the insulin is not working as well with the cells. We'll cover that a little bit in a minute too. And more, there's something called type 3 diabetes, which is like Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's, the neurodegenerative type diseases that they're now calling type 3 diabetes. But we're going to focus on type 2 today. Not that the benefits of ketones and being in ketosis doesn't help the other types of diabetes. Absolutely it can. So number one cause of, generally speaking, number one cause of having type 2 diabetes is sugar consumption. It's almost impossible to eat things these days unless you prepare it as food. It's almost impossible to consume eating, food without eating sugar. Even if you try the hardest, it's really, really difficult. Basically, if anything's in a package, if it wasn't made by nature or God or whomever, then it was probably processed, and in that process of processing that food, it's probably in a box or a package, they added sugar. We're addicted to sugar. No two ways about it. So generally number one cause of diabetes is sugar consumption. Now, does that mean that you have to be fat or obese or overweight to have type 2 diabetes? Absolutely not. There's millions of skinny diabetics out there. There are. But that's the number one cause. Let's go through some of these numbers, okay? And these numbers are worldwide. They're not in the United States, okay? So 382 million adults are diabetic, okay? 30 million of those are in the United States, and that's increasing 1.4 million every year. 1.4 million people are getting diabetes every year. And the treatment for diabetes these days is not to prevent it. It's just kind of like a Band-Aid on the symptom. Okay, injection of insulin is, again, for type 1 and type 2 is one of the treatments for it, but doesn't really address what is causing the diabetes in the first place. And ketones, being in ketosis, is a much higher level of addressing what the issues are with diabetes. So it's worth checking out. So more numbers here. 592 million are to be projected by 2035. 183 may not know they even have diabetes. How many times have you heard of maybe family members that, you know, they got rushed to the hospital, or they get sick? It's because they have and it might be because they have diabetes and don't even know it. It's just amazing. And again, obesity is the primary risk. Again, that goes along with eating sugars for type 2. And again, you don't have to be fat or obese to have diabetes. There are skinny diabetics out there. Okay? So let's go into a little bit more depth here as to what exactly is type 2 diabetes. Okay? Because there's just so many millions of people today, and 1.4 million more next year. Let's not have you be one of those, okay? And let's try to help family members and friends who are there now, okay? So what happens? First off, we eat carbs and sugars, okay? We have a much better ability to control the carb consumption than we do the sugar. We have to pay close attention on the sugar. So when we eat those carbs and sugars, our body produces glucose. Okay? The glucose stimulates the pancreas, right here. Stimulates the pancreas, and the pancreas then produces insulin. Now I've shown insulin as these little keys here. And the next slide, we briefly talked about this in the other video. The glucose cannot be used by our cells without that little key. And the insulin is the key. The insulin unlocks the cell, so then the glucose can go in and use, the cell can go in, and then the glucose can go in, and the cell will then be able to use the glucose. Okay? That's the only way that cells can use the energy. Just because we have glucose doesn't mean the cells can use it. It has to have insulin for the cell to use it. Ketones, on the other hand, the liver produces ketones. The ketones go straight to the cell and use it. Ketones do not need insulin to be used by our cells. That's why this is, think about it. If insulin is the number one issue with diabetes, the cause of different things of diabetes, different type 1, type 2, type 3, and if insulin and glucose as an energy or fuel source is the main issue, then it makes a little bit of sense that maybe switching fuel sources might help. That's logic to me. And the good news is research is proving that out. Okay, so the idea of these videos are to kind of stimulate your brain cells and get you to maybe look outside the box a little bit, do your own research, check things out to see if maybe your loved one or you with these health issues, that ketones might be able to help you. Exogenous ketones are wonderful. You drink them, you're in ketosis in 30 to 60 minutes, piece of cake. No, not literally. Actually, it gives you the ability to maybe have a piece of cake and something, once in a while, and still be in ketosis. Which is not to say it's good to cheat if you're on a diet like trying to eliminate that, but it gives you the ability to have a much easier structure in your food consumption that's much easier to follow. It's not like a diet. It's truly a much easier way to change your way of life. So here's some research areas that you can go to find out more information. Here is a link, and Dr. Sarah Hallberg is a obese specialist, and again, you don't have to be obese to have diabetes, and she is a specialist in that, and it's about a 15-minute video, I think, and is very eye-opening as far as diet, what you should eat, what you should think about. Again, I'm not saying what you should or shouldn't, I'm just saying you need to check into it, okay, because there's just too much recent support of a ketogenic type of diet, being in ketosis, using ketones for fuel, that is absolutely beneficial for diabetics. Research, like for example, the mice, the rats, they developed diabetes, and they were they developed a very common issue with diabetics, and it's a kidney disease called nephropathy, and I hope I said that right, nephropathy. And the only way to help diabetics today is to have a transplant or dialysis. So this research showed that when the animals were, the mice, the rats, were using ketones as their main source of fuel, that their kidney issues all showed a sign of being repaired, the kidney being repaired. That is just totally, totally amazing. So here are some more research places you can go. You can learn about ketosis and ketones at www.losefatgetfitwithketones.com, and Facebook page, Lose Fat Get Fit with Ketones. These videos that I'm making are all posted there on the website. I have a blog. If you want to hear about the reboot, which, reboot, we're having a reboot plan all the time, every month. If you want to get information about that, total cleanse of the body, detox the body, not a fast, not a cleanse, not a detox, but the best of all those worlds, go to that website, losefatgetfitwithketones.com, and you can learn all about that. And you can also learn about exogenous ketones. So that's it for today. Please go out, do some research. Find out what's going on. Help your loved ones and maybe yourself to get the benefits of this wonderful exogenous ketones and being in ketosis and using ketones as fuel. Bye for now. See you next video.